What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability, get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Speaking of entertainment, today on the program I have Omar McClinton. Oh yeah. You've heard that name. VAIFF. Oh, those letters mean something to you. You're going to know a little bit more about Omar McClinton in the next few minutes, so stick around. This week's shows, I have one public show, my regular Friday night gig. It's the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. They got a full bar, kitchen's open, pool tables. They got a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money while you're doing it, you could do that at the Rab on Friday night. 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM. Oh, Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. You're the stars of the show every Friday night at the Rab. And then on Saturday, I have a prom. I have a prom here in Arkansas. I'm so excited. I get to do proms. I get to do all kinds of different events. You know, unless you're in the high school or unless you're a chaperone, you cannot go to this prom, okay? I'm only mentioning it because I'm stoked. I get to do events after all these years. I still get to be a part of the show. I get to be a part of people's days, you know, when they're happy, these kids are going to be excited about, wow, the future. What are we going to do once we get out of school? Well, the future looks bright. The children are our future. I hope I do a good job for them. I got a big list of music from their coordinator, one of the teachers. And I hope she was working with some of the students. I know they like some music that might be questionable for some of the teachers, but I'll take out the dirty stuff. I'll clean it up for them. I'll make sure they have a good time. All right, that's enough intro. Let's get into it with Omar McClinton of the VAIFF. Oh, I got him on Skype, so if you're listening to the audio version, I encourage you to check out the video version on my YouTube page, youtube.com/user/KeysDan. All right, let's Skyping Omar McClinton now.
How's that?
Look at him. He's a professional. Omar McClinton. That's like an old school name. That's a cowboy name. Omar McClinton.
Think so?
It sounds like it, man.
I'd love to have a cowboy name like that.
Man, okay. I'm half Cuban, half Irish, so I think I could be an Omar McClinton. Yeah, that works out.
If I could be, you could be.
No, that works out, man, because it's kind of a what it was, Scottish Irish type last name, and then maybe a Spanish. I guess that would be. Is it kind of a Middle Eastern first name? Where are the Omars from?
Oh boy, Omar is actually Middle Eastern. It's Indian. It's quite a few things. It actually gets around quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, how I got it, who knows?
Yeah, Omar's not quite. It's not quite a John Smith name, but Omar. I've met a lot of Omars in my day, especially living in Miami. I had a lot of friends named Omar growing up, and that's pretty cool.
As long as they were good people and making sure that they don't taint the Omar name.
You better believe it, man. I know they'll have to answer to you, tough guy. But I'm looking at the tent poles of you, and I got to give a big shout out to Katrina Tejador for setting this up of the Kaz Marketing Agency.
Kaz Marketing, God, we love her very much. She's great.
Man, it's nice to have people that help people, and she's turned that love of helping people into helping people. You know, it's the reason. Yeah. The reason I got into radio way back in 1986 when I first got on radio. I was like, this is how I can be involved with the community. This is how I can talk with people and maybe help to promote their items and make a couple bucks. Okay, I'm in. Where do I sign up? And then I realized that radio, you make no money. There's a handful of people that are making $1 million, maybe 2 handfuls in history
maybe
that have
two.
made some real money. Most of the time, hey, you make your minimum wage, you make your $10 an hour or whatever. But I noticed you got on your page, it says worked at producer, TV, film, radio, internet. Omar McClinton, tell the people about you, man. You're on the What Makes You Famous podcast. What's up?
I think what you said lines up perfectly with what I'm doing right now with my career. And that's making sure that, hey, even if there's no money in it, you have to enjoy doing what you do. As long as, and you seem like the type of person that enjoys doing what they do. And that has to be, that has to be enough.
Well, you better believe it. When I was working on radio down in South Florida, mostly, I did a lot of radio down there before I moved to Arkansas. And I did a little bit of radio when I first moved here to Arkansas, to Little Rock, in that area. But mostly my radio experience is definitely in Miami. And I guess that was a number 12 market. And if you know anything about radio, you know that you're looking for that big money, those high markets. And tell me about you and your tell me why freelance producer, TV, film, radio, internet. Are you still doing that, or is that something in the past?
I'm still doing that.
Good.
I'm doing it because I do love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I started a long time ago, back in the late 80s is when I started.
That's the 1900s to you kids.
To many of them, yes, it is. Started in the late 80s as an actor. Didn't like the types of roles that I was being asked to play. So I got into writing. Fell in love with writing. The idea that you can take an idea from your head, put it on paper, give it to somebody, they read it, and they can see it exactly the same way you had it in your head, blew me away. Started writing. Writing easily moves you into producing. So start producing, get a little bit of one film here, second film there. Did independent film, worked 2 jobs during the week, one on the weekend. Had a couple of friends of mine, 5 or 6 good friends, taught each one how to film, what the roles were and the departments, what they were. We did an independent film, ended up, that did very well for us, ended up moving out to California. That did not go very well for me. And then I had to start over. Ended up starting over, and that's how I got into TV. Few jobs here, few jobs there, always wanting to know more. It's really important for anybody, whether you're in the industry or not, but it's really important to always reinvent yourself and to always diversify. You are your own brand, therefore you are your own portfolio. So in the process of me going to the TV and going to visual effects, I got into accounting, production accounting, and I got into live action, visual effects combination. I started doing a lot of things like that to the point where here I am now, so many years later, and I can look back on my career and say, wow, I've done a lot of a lot, and it's time to give back. And I wanted to make sure, like you, like Katrina, at Kraft Marketing, I want to make sure that I give back and I help people. So now I still produce, but then I started a film festival to help me give back to some people.
All right, before we get into that was the Wikipedia, the top 2 paragraphs, that blurb. If you were writing your own Wikipedia page, I think that explained the broad strokes, the tent poles of who Omar McClinton is. But there's more to delve into. All right, you're in Florida somewhere, Tampa maybe?
So right now I'm in Florida. This was my horrible attempt at trying to semi-retire.
Okay.
So I moved my family down here to Florida. I've been busier now than I've ever been before.
Oh.
But yes, I am in Florida now after being in Chicago, being in LA, and quite a few other places.
Well, little Omar McClinton in Chicago, Illinois, and I did say it properly because there's no noise in Illinois. So
That's right.
Yeah, Chicago, and I've never been north of the Mason-Dixon, or at least I haven't spent too much time north of that. My brother was in the Navy. He went to Great Mistakes, Illinois. So he, when he was doing his training, so he told me a lot about Chicago whenever he'd get some time off and get to go to Chicago, and it was a good time. But tell me about a young Omar McClinton in Chicago And this is even before you tried to get into the acting. You know, what were you doing in school?
Yeah.
What kind of trouble were you getting into? Were you a good kid, good students, good grades? What were you into?
That's a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
I think, looking back on my life, I was the most naive, slow, big dreams, but had no idea how to get to those dreams to make them reality. I lived in the movies. I went to movies all the time. That became my world. I grew up in, for people who live in Chicago, they know of a place called Inglewood.
Okay.
And Inglewood is, for a long time, not the best place in the world to live. And even now, not the best place in the world to live.
Well, that's
Given
not
here a movie called Chirac.
That's not Tupac's Inglewood. His Inglewood is California Inglewood.
His Inglewood's California.
Right.
My Inglewood is the movie that Spike Lee made called Chirac.
Wait.
And it was about Inglewood in Chicago.
Wait a minute. There's a Spike Lee movie that I have not seen. I've seen She's Gotta Have It. I've seen Do the Right Thing. I've seen the Spike Lee movies. What Shout Iraq? What is it?
I think you missed one. It's called Chirac. It's a combination of Chicago and Iraq.
Oh my goodness! Because She's Gotta Have It changed my life. I mean, watching that movie was like, huh. People can make a movie that way. All right, so tell me, growing up, you're dreaming about being in the pictures. This kid wants to be in the pictures. Well, what's inspiring your dreams? What kind of movies you getting into? Because I know I'm watching kung fu movies every weekend with my kids, with my boys. We ride bicycles over to the local cinema on Saturdays. So to stay out of trouble, we sneak into the movies. Wait, was that wasn't staying out of trouble? We're sneaking into the movies. No, every once in a while we got some allowance and we got to go to the movies, but we would go to at noon and then we would stay all the way till like almost 8:00 sometimes and then ride our backs.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. In Chicago, we had triple features. So yes, you would go in at 12:00 in the afternoon and you'd leave 8:30, 9:00 at night. My mom and I would take the train out there and one bus, 2 trains, got to the movies, stayed there all day, came back watching, my heroes, Fred Williamson, Jim Kelly, Jim Brown, Bruce Lee, and everything that they did. And those became my male role models. I ended up saying, wow, if they're doing this for a living and they're on screen and then they're, having fun, looks like, then I want to do that too.
Man, it sounds like we kind of intersected there because I think I was watching Bruce Lee movies way too young because I wasn't even 12 years old. And, I'm born in '69, so I'm all through the '70s watching these movies and talk about, I think I watched Shaft way too young and Shaft in Africa way too young. So, and a bunch of blaxploitation movies for that matter.
Oh, yeah.
Usually the matinees.
Know exactly what you're talking about. If you throw a Truck Turner in there, then I'm thinking we're related.
Foxy Brown, she's in there.
Foxy Brown.
But that was back when I didn't know black or white. In Miami, I think I have cousins and close relatives that are on every color of the rainbow. So we didn't know black or white, man. We knew oye negro, ¿dónde está? Hey, ¿cómo va? Okay. Did you just call him negro? Yeah, I did. He's my man. He's my ace. He's my guy. But those were simpler times, more childlike times. Tell me about your friends growing up, and were you said you were taking the train with your mom, so you dragged your mom on these adventures.
My mom dragged me on the adventures because back then, when you can call somebody Negro, it's much easier coming from the mouth of a little boy than from an adult white guy. So it's good for you that you were so small, but. My mom, single mom, we didn't have a lot of money.
Single mom.
And back then, you can go to a triple feature in Chicago for $2.75. Watch 3 movies. So that's all we could afford to do. And that's what we did. And we did it every weekend. And that's how I grew up, a good portion of my life. And I went to school. It was never really not going to say never really. I was absolutely positively never the popular person, never the popular kid.
Come on, you had to have at least your group of nerds, some movie nerds that enjoyed the same things. All you need is like 1 or 2 really good friends. Did you at least have that?
when you go to the movies as much as I did, you find out that there's a level of nerd, and then there's a level of me, and I surpassed every nerd that I knew in Inglewood and Chicago. But yes, to your to what you're saying, when I got to high school, I did finally have an opportunity to meet some other movie-loving people and some movie-loving nerds, and that helped me not spend so many lonely nights. Yeah, but it was rough. It was rough. You didn't have a lot of people to connect with. A lot of people in Inglewood at that time and now, their mindset was in one direction, and my mindset was getting out of Inglewood, and where people were very comfortable. I never wanted to be comfortable, and I never wanted to be comfortable not only in my personal life but in my career and everything else. To never be comfortable, and I think that's why I always wanted to do more and see more, because there was more out there than just what I'd grown up, and I knew that, and I wanted to experience these other things, and I wanted to, do something different.
Okay, so you get out of high school in Chicago. You got these aspirations. Maybe I want to be an actor. Should I go to college? Should I go do auditions? What are you doing? What are you doing to achieve your dreams, following your dreams down the highway?
So what I did, I know this is going to be a shock to you. My very first job in high school was working at a movie theater, and I was an usher, and I was actually one of the first black ushers that this one particular movie theater ever had. I loved movies so much, gave so much to my job, went to another theater chain, and I ended up being assistant manager because movies was in my blood. So I spent a lot of time doing that and studying the movies and studying the people and the screenings and the audience. What did they like? What did they not like? What joke worked? What joke did not work? And things like that. And I really had a chance to do that. And I went to Chicago State University in Chicago for a few years. Did great with that. But then life hit, and I had to get money. I had to get money fast. And I had to, the acting gigs were not coming in as steadily as I would have liked for them to.
In Chicago?
So, in Chicago in the late 80s.
Not
Chicago now.
Because, all right, you're familiar with Eddie Murphy, and you kind of touched on it when you said working at a movie theater. He had a bit said, oh, you want me to sell and rip tickets? That's two jobs,
Right.
And I guess the resume was he would rip up his resume and throw it at the manager and say, I think my resume speaks for itself. I know how to rip tickets. But you're actually doing a film school while you're watching movies, because that's a little hidden gem, is if you work at the movie theater, you get to watch the movies sometimes before anybody else on your block. That had to be something good for you and your status. Go ahead.
I think that the funny thing about that, what people maybe didn't realize, or now the secret is out, I would do my job as quickly and efficiently as possible. And people say, wow, Omar's a really good worker. But I would do that just to go watch the movie. And I would go stand in the back, and I'd watch the people, and I would watch, how they cut the film. What worked, what didn't, when people were bored, when people were excited. If people are leaving at the end of Aliens, I'm like, you may want to wait a little bit until she gets back on the ship. And people are like, oh, what are you talking about? Movie's over. I'm like, you may want to wait a little bit. Different things like that, and then seeing their gratitude and seeing what works. It's those types of experiences that was really, really key for me and really helped me hone in on entertainment and what media can do and what entertainment can do, what film can do for different people. And it really helped a lot.
Yeah, it changes lives, changes attitudes, changes feelings. You can make people cry, make people laugh. Oh, you touched on Aliens, the best Aliens. Okay, Alien was good. All right, that was nice. That was a good first offering. But when he had this ensemble cast show up on Aliens and all these characters, and they all were well fleshed out, and they all had their personalities. Apone and Hicks and Hicks I'm Hicks. Yeah. Vasquez. Oh, she was bad, man. They're sarcastic. All right, but my loyal listener, if you haven't seen Aliens, watch Aliens. Okay, it will.
You have to watch
yes.
Aliens.
But okay, is that the kind of movie that you kind of delved into? What movies do you think that really, if I'm going to the Omar McClinton School of Filmmaking, what movies do I have to see? What movies were you seeing that were inspiring you? Give me the short list.
That's an incredible list. That's a great question. I'm gonna shotgun this thing out to different people. Some people will have heard of some of these films, some people have not. But you have to go Truck Turner, you have to go Shaft, you have to go Fox Brown 3 the hard way. You have to go Enter the Dragon. You have to go Chinese Connection, which is really Fist of Fury. It's renamed here in the United States. You have to, I'm gonna jump a little bit. You have to go Coming to America. You have to go, let me see, Blue Thunder. You have to go Jaws. You have to go Schindler's List. You have to go, let me see, oh boy, JFK. The list can continue, but it has to be a great mixture of, Ragtime. Can never forget Ragtime. If you have not seen Ragtime, you absolutely have to see it.
Okay,
So
out of that list, yeah, you picked the two that I haven't seen. There was the Ragtime, which I've heard nothing but good things. I just haven't seen it on my streaming, and if it pops through, I will see it. And then Schindler's List. Out of all the movies, I have not seen Schindler's List, and I think my grandfather, he claims he was Jewish. There's some Jewish in my family somewhere, Jewish Cuban, so I might be a Juban. And you know, there's I'm from the Caribbean, so a bunch of people in there. Who knows? I'm a big melting pot. I'm America, people. But you have touched on a list of great movies. All the other ones that that you mentioned, I've seen, and I appreciate it as well. But go ahead, continue with how you got inspired out of watching those movies.
Well, boy, I think seeing what it can do to people, seeing people come in either very unhappy, or you can tell they just had a fight and they're screaming, you get the popcorn, I don't want the popcorn, you get something to drink, I don't want anything to drink, and you see them laugh together, and you see them cry together. And by the time it's over, you know, they're hugging each other, you get the car keys, yeah, okay, I'll drive home, you go ahead and relax. And you see how it changes people. And the fact that it can change people, if you're not careful, make them worse. But if you really know what you're doing and you care about the human race and people that we share this world with, you can change people for the better. And that's what really hooked me. That you can do more as a filmmaker than you can a politician or many other jobs out there. And you can really teach people by showing them how they look to other people, by showing them how they sound to other people, and showing them an outside person looking in on their life and the lives around them, and it helps people change for the better. And that's when I realized I absolutely have to be in the movie business.
Well, Omar McClinton, you've touched upon another thing. There's a lot of politics in movies, and you growing up in the 80s. I don't know when you were born or anything, but maybe in the 80s, there's movies back then that might be problematic for people of today. I mean, but there always is. You get a great story. Maybe somebody wrote a book, and you want to turn it into a screenplay, and you want to turn that eventually into a movie, and you know they have their idea when they were writing that book, but you're going to break it apart as a film director or a filmographer or a producer of films. You're going to break it apart, tell your own story, inject whatever, you know, politics, whatever message you want to put into that story of your own, and then come out with almost a whole different thing. I mean, what do you think of the evolution of, I mean, okay, look, I'm watching Shaft. You ain't so black, you ain't so white. The cup and the pen, man. Oh, and stuff like that. Those are I love movie quotes, and I'm sure you and your boys, when you're watching these movies all day on Saturday, you're sitting by the lockers Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just reciting lines at each other. My wife says, my life in a movie, because every day I'm talking to her, and I'll say something, and she'll say, what movie's that from? What movie's that from? She knows.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
tell me
yeah.
about the your evolution with the movies. Do you think they're getting better? Do you think the stories are getting fleshed out? What movies are touching you like they touched you back then? The ones that are coming out now. Which ones are really getting to you?
That's a really good question.
Mm.
I honestly can't think of a movie that I've seen recently that has really affected me, like some of the films I had seen, 10, 20 years ago. And I think the mindset has changed, and it's a generational thing, let's say, where if people want a certain type of film, companies and studios will make certain types of films. I come from a generation where I just want good films. I don't want the films that are just, if you put this star with this hot director and this hot writer, and you get this actress, to go topless, now we were guaranteed $40 million. Well, I'm not looking for an equation. I'm looking for a great story with people that I care about and situations that might happen. And if so, how do they get out of it? Don't change the rules in the middle of the movie so your hero can make it, your hero can live. I want to see stories from people that, about people that I care about. And I don't think they've made that type of film this type of way in a long time. And when I mentioned some of the movies, even like I said, Blue Thunder, that movie flopped when it first came out, and it didn't really gain an audience till later. But if you watch the movie, there's a guy, he flies police helicopters. Not much exciting about that.
Yeah.
But the fact that he has post-traumatic stress disorder, which back then nobody really spoke about, he's trying to live and go on with his life, and now he's in a situation where he can help save some people and deal with his own problems and have this incredible life or death situation. That's something that gets your attention. It's about more than just a helicopter. And lately, a lot of films are only about what it's about, and they don't really dig that much deeper into some scenarios. So, and I'm not knocking films now. I'm just saying that I can't even remember a film that touched me and changed me emotionally like some of the films I may have seen a few years ago. Now, when this interview's over, 55 will pop into my head, and I go, oh, I wish I'd said this, oh, I wish I said that. But as of right now, no, I'm sorry. I'd remember a movie from 1983 before I remember the movie from 2021.
No, you got it right, man. It seems like, okay, the stuff that we grew up with in our prime, in our formative years, that's the stuff we're going to love. I'm a kid of the 80s, the class of 86. I'm always going to love the music of the 80s, the movies of the 80s. I have an affinity. I have a taste for that. But being a DJ every weekend, in fact, I have a prom this weekend, I have to be in tune with what's going on with today as well. But what you were talking about is the business of making movies. You'll have a movie executive that'll say, Danny Glover and Mel Gibson were in that movie. It made millions and millions of dollars. Okay, let's get a white guy and a black guy, and we'll put them in similar situation, and we'll make millions and millions of dollars. No? Does it work that way? No, it doesn't. But now, I want you to go back to the late 80s when you were trying to, break into the movies. What kind of roles were you trying to go for? Or were you auditioning for what, commercials or movies, the Chicago movies? What were you doing?
So back then, I started out in commercials, Kraft Macaroni and Cheese, McDonald's TV, Wisconsin State Journal, Chicago HMO, different commercials like that. And back then it was really great because in the Chicago HMO commercials, I'm a college graduate or high school graduate. I'm graduating, my parents are there, life is good. For McDonald's, this is my first job. I'm learning how to, flip burgers, but I'm learning, and the sky's the limit. I can manage or own this place one day. Then, as I got a little older, they wanted me to play, the gangbanger, the gang member. They wanted me to play, somebody strung out on the corner. I'm like, well, wait a minute. We have plenty of that. I'd rather not do that. I'd rather do the things we don't see. And when they didn't have those roles for me, then I got into writing. I started writing those roles for myself. And, fortunate enough for me, I fell in love with writing, even more so than acting.
Well, now you're touching on things. You're giving people gems. If you don't see out there what you want, you got to make it yourself. You do it yourself.
You have to.
If you don't, if you want something done right, do it yourself. Now you're talking about good, and that's subjective. What's good to you might not be good to others. Oh, I just thought of different strokes. What might be right for you may not be different. Okay, never mind. You know, like I say, a child of the 70s and 80s, growing up, watching shows. I feel that, man. And I always wanted to be in the entertainment business as well. And I got inspired by the similar things, listening to music, playing records, mom's giving me records. So, you know, I had a single mom as well. For the most part, you know, I guess I had a couple stepdads roll in here and there, but you know, for the most part, my mom, you know, big props to mom, because she did the best she could with the two boys that were rambunctious. You got any brothers and sisters?
I have a bunch of brothers and sisters that are from my father.
Oh, okay.
But I am my mom's only son.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess I have a sister that's 23 years younger than me. So yeah, she, you know, that was one of the stepdads said, "Hey, I want to have a kid." So hey, I didn't grow up with her, and I'm guessing, do you have a relationship with those kids, your siblings, your half siblings?
There are a few of them that I keep regular contact with, and my two younger sisters, Cesare and Nicole. Love them dearly. I couldn't do what I do if it were not for them. So as far as sisters go, they're the best sisters in the world.
Well, what I'm getting at is whenever you have projects and you know, the entertainment business is a hustle, but the first people that you tap is your family. You know, you put your mom in a movie, you put your sister in a movie, you put your brother in a movie, cousin Tony, you know, Timmy, yeah, you're going to be in the movie. You know, we need somebody to do this. You know, we need somebody to go and get craft services for us. You know, you tap your family sometimes. Did you ever have that opportunity?
I did not have my family readily available to do that. But at the same time, I definitely would have if I could have. But I come from a situation where I've been in the industry for so long, and I know both sides of the industry, the premiere night side and the production side. And I've seen so much of the underbelly of the industry. I try to keep a very, very huge wall between my personal life and what I do. And I told myself, I can work in Hollywood, just don't become Hollywood. And I had to do that for a long time. And when I saw myself slipping, I left. I moved to Hollywood, went back to Chicago. So,
tell me about that. Tell me about your experience that you went from Chicago out to Hollywood because the roles were not what you wanted in Chicago. And you said, "Hey, let's go to LA and see what that's all about." Were you that guy gets off the bus, or did you have a plan? Did you have somebody that out there waiting for you? Tell me about. Yeah.
So it's funny. The roles, just so you know, in California were pretty much the same way in Chicago and New York and everywhere else. But I remember that student film, the little independent film I told you about. Took 6, 7 of my friends, taught them how to make a movie. We did a movie, a little independent film with the money that we'd saved up, and it was seen by someone at a very large movie studio. They were in the makings of following the Disney model that they'd done with Miramax. Disney had Miramax. They had a certain number of films for a certain demographic, for a certain market. And this studio wanted to do the same thing. They wanted to have young minority filmmakers making certain films for about $5 million. Talent, budget attached. They saw a rough print of the film that I produced and directed. And they said, "We want to redo that film with talent. So come on out here to California. Let's get this thing done." Here I am. I didn't finish it. It's just a rough print. I don't have a lot of money left. Oh, don't worry about the money. Take that money. Just get yourself out here. You know, so I'll use that money to fly to California, to live, lawyers, and it's slowly diminishing, and I'm getting no closer to the deal. Long story short, that company was bought out by another company that had absolutely no interest in this new untested market of young minority directors and a $5 million budget. Oh, why do that? So they scrapped the whole idea. I'm now stuck in California with $0, a non-completed film, and and sleeping on my uncle's couch.
Well, tell me,
I had to start over.
Yeah, tell me, if 5 million sounds like a lot to me. I know just in the small knowledge that I have, 5 million is a low budget movie. Anything 5 million and below could be, an independent film. I think The Terminator, my one of my two favorite films, was $1 million, and that's but that's before. Where does all that money go? Because that's before even advertising. Mixed mastering, I guess, is the same kind of thing that I would do for audio, but you would have to have that edited and spun down somehow. Tell me, where does the money go once you've paid the actors and you have the film in the can, but you don't have it quite? You have a rough cut, like you said. What is?
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So where the money goes is an interesting question. The best answer I can give you, and the most honest answer I can give you, when you have a low budget like that, but you're backed by a studio, that money goes to the talent, the above the line talent. Who's going to get butts in seats? You have unions and guilds. Our salaries are already set. We know how much we're going to make an hour, how much we're going to make for 10 hours a day and 12 hours a day. What happens if we go into overtime? So once you get that set crew, and once you know that set salary as based on your union guild wages, everything else goes toward, well, who can we get to put butts in seats? And that money goes toward the people that they feel are bankable. And when you have that, then you have a possibility of making a profit. And that's where that money goes. It doesn't, especially when you're a brand new director like me, it definitely doesn't go to me. It goes to who you can bank on. But I hope that works for them.
Do you gamble that you get a point or something after? You get a percentage of if the movie makes anything?
When you're first starting out, they don't even offer that to you. And unless you've done a film festival and you've gotten a lot of attention and awareness, and you have some sort of marketability, hey, you speak very well. You have a great look about you. Hey, you're black. That's in right now. Oh, you're a lady. That's in right now. Unless you have something that they can build off of to make you a star, then they don't even offer that to you. And they offer you the opportunity of directing this and just direct it. And if it's good and makes money, we may throw you another one.
Yeah, now you taught me, speak so well. That's a Chris Rock bit right there. Speak so well. Really? Is that all you can say about me? I'm an educated man. I went to college. Yeah. I learned some stuff. And all you got for me is speak so well?
Speak so well.
Really? Okay. The underlying of that, and I don't like it. But moving on. Okay. So, all right, Robert Townsend, Spike Lee, you already mentioned him. These are people that weren't getting offered the roles that they wanted, so they made their own thing. And you made your own thing. Tell me about making a movie, now, is this a full-length, full-feature film? Is it a short? What's the name of this film? And did you ever get it made and done? Or tell me about the process of making a movie and what's it about?
The process of making a movie is very easy if you're the type of person that's very meticulous. You can look at the script, you can break things down. I know I need this, I know I need that, I gotta be here, I gotta be there, I've got this much, I don't have that. How do you make it work? If you have that mindset, you can make a movie. If you do not have that mindset, and you're a movie fan trying to make a movie, it's the most difficult thing in the world. And it can be the most costly thing in the world. So please know that you have to first find out which category you fit in. Are you a fan of movies and you want to make a movie? Or is it in your blood to produce movies and write and direct movies? That can make a difference. I highly advise people to find out which category you fit in before you invest a lot of time or money into it, because it'll save you a lot of headache. But if you happen to be the type of person where you were born to make film, you were born to be in this industry, you will see that going to work is not going to work. The problems you have don't seem like they're problems that will ever kill you, that'll just make you stronger. And when you hear people say all these, ridiculous buzzwords and quotes and things you've heard before that don't make any sense to you, it's because they were filmmakers doing what they were supposed to do, and that's how they got to learn that stuff. But it's never an easy thing to do for everyone. You're going to have your good days, you're going to have your bad days, but keeping the focus, keeping the charge that you're the leader, you have to make sure that it works. You have to find a way it works when you don't have money, because you can't just throw money at a problem. You have to use your talent to solve the problem. So, with all that being said,
yeah, go ahead.
So, with all that being said, I can't say that making the film that we did was easy, except the fact that it was a lot of fun, and it's not been seen. It's still sitting in a rough cut form. I've been trying to shop it around for a while, but then I got busy going into film and working for other people, and my career the past few years has been, producing for other people. So when I eventually get back to producing my own films after the festival and after I'm, really semi-retired, then I may absolutely go back and revisit this to see if I can get this thing done. And it was a feature. It was not a short. It was 88 minutes.
88 minutes. That's good, man. You can add a little bit of titles, and that'll turn it right into a tight 90, and I guess that's the magic number to get a full-length feature film is you want that good 90, right?
90 minutes, the magic number for that is that if you have a 90-minute movie or below, you can get one extra showing at a movie theater when your competition will not.
Okay, I get it. All right, that makes sense. All right, blank slate. Now, to start, I have this aspiration. I have this dream. I want to make a movie. What do you start with? Do you find a story that you, Omar McClinton, your process? Do you find a story, or do you write your own story for this particular movie that you have sitting in the closet? Did you write that story, or was this a story that got given to you and you said, "Yeah, I'll make that"?
Yeah, I don't know if I was sitting in the closet, but I was definitely in the basement, because it came from a horrible, traumatic experience that I had, and it changed my life. And it was about the deformed teenager and how he can try to get his life back. And I said, you know what? I'm in a spot right now where the only way I can get through this pain is to write about it. I wrote a script, and then it started writing itself. And that's how you know it's a good script, when you're just there. And it's going to write itself with you or without you. So just keep up. So I'm typing away and doing what I have to do. And after a while, the story became something that was a combination of what you said. Do you find it or do you live it? It became both. And it ended up finding me. And it just manifests itself out of something I knew a little bit of. I turned it around to make it interesting to other people, but still kept it grounded in reality. And then I ended up, making that film was my first real film. And that's what other people should do as well. You have to write about something you know. Please don't write about being a doctor if you have no idea how it is to be a doctor. Write about something you know, and make it as grounded and believable in reality as possible, so that you can get people on your side from frame one.
Oh, especially with today's audiences, they are not forgiving. If you watch the movies of the early days, the 30s and the 40s, and you got a doctor and they come in, oh, he needs to calm down. Why don't you have a cigarette? And they're giving out all this cockamamie medical advice. But if you watch the procedurals on on TNT or whatever, some of these cop shows and doctor shows that are out there. My goodness, I feel like I got a medical degree if I watch like 5 seasons of some of these shows, and oh my goodness. But yeah, you have to know what you're talking about when you're doing these, when you're making a story about something, and add as much detail as possible. Now, how do you know how to write a screenplay? How do you know how to write that? Is there a book, or is this what you actually went to college for?
So You just touched on something
Please.
that is the funniest thing that I'd ever heard in my life. Mario Puzo wrote The Godfather, right? Mario Puzo had never written a screenplay before in his entire life. Francis Ford Coppola goes to him, says, "Hey, I need you to help me adapt this book." Mario Puzo's like, "Well, I don't know how to adapt it into a screenplay. Never done it before." "Well, let's do it together." They do it together, make a screenplay. It does phenomenal. Mario Puzo goes back and says, "Well, maybe I got lucky. I'm going to go to a writing class to learn how to properly write screenplays." He goes to the class. The very first class, the very first thing his teacher says to his entire room of students, "Read this script first." He opens the book. It's The Godfather.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
So I tell you that to say, a story will write itself. You just have to learn how to get out of the way. Just because you're the writer does not mean it answers to you. Be happy that you're invited. Watch the story as if you're sitting in the theater and it's just you and it's playing in front of you. Like what you see, let it go. You can tweak it here and there. You can keep it within some guidelines, but don't get in its way. Because if you do that, then it's a movie that only you can understand, and you can just write a diary and be done with it. It's a heck of a lot easier to do. So I highly recommend classes just to learn the technique. I highly recommend writing groups to talk to other people. You will find out that your struggles are not just of your own. Every writer has the same writer's block and struggle, and that will help you on those long nights where you just can't get past page one. And write what you feel, and just don't get in the way. And then go to school just to learn the format and the structure.
Omar McClinton, you're already letting me know you were born to do this, because it sounds like it comes. All right, once you have an idea, once you have a thought, once you have a story in your head, it seems to come pretty easily, or at least that one screenplay came pretty easily out of you. So you did write what you knew, and that's real good advice. That really is good advice. But tell me about, okay, hopefully we get to see that film at some point. But moving on from there, you finished that project. And you were talking about getting the big name actor. I've heard working for scale. Sometimes if you happen to be friends, or if a big name actor likes the project that you're doing, they'll say, "Yeah, I'll do that." And the least they can work for, what is scale for a Danny Glover, a Brad Pitt? What is scale?
Scale. So remember early in the conversation, we spoke about where does the money go?
Right.
And I said, well, with unions and guilds, you know what that rate's going to be. Every hour, you know how much you're going to make. You can forecast how much a crew of any size will make over a certain number of time, because these are the guild rates. Scale is for the Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA. They have certain rates for their actors. So when you say where's the money go, you normally pay more money for the person that the studio feels is more reliable to get butts in seats so they can build a profit off of their investment. And they normally pay for that. They pay more than what the union says is the bare minimum. And the bare minimum for an actor, depending on the budget, is called scale.
Yeah.
So when an actor says, "I like this project so much, but because you don't have a lot of money, I'll do it for scale," that means I'll do it for the bare minimum, but the union will allow me to do this because I have a lot of faith in this project, and maybe on the back end I get what I would have made later on, or maybe we work out a deal where I get a producer credit, or I get an executive producer credit, or something of that nature. You work out the deal depending on the actor and their request. But that's what they mean when they say they work for scale. They'll work for the minimum that the guild says they can work for a project just because they believe in your script or they believe in you as a filmmaker.
Okay. Now, are they allowed to do anything for free?
Lately, there have been some incredible rates that have dropped from SAG and AFTRA that allow people to do ultra low budget projects. It's not free. There is a minimum, but it's so much of a minimum that it gets down to the point where, depending on if it's a commercial or a short film or a feature, you figure out what those standards are. Depending on what it is, it's not free, but it's so close to affordable to get, if it's going to be a Danny Glover, it's going to be someone else, that it's really hard to pass up, because you have to have some money to make a movie.
Right.
And if you have some money and you can get a great actor, then you find a way to get the money to get that great actor, especially if they're going to bring their talent to your film or they believe in you, then you find a way to make those ends meet.
Man, do you really have to have some money? Because these phones are ridiculous. Some people, I'm hearing they're doing movies on iPhones for less than $1,000. You can get a really nice rig for your iPhone, lighting, boom mics, and make a movie. Go out, and do your thing. But you probably have to shoot it guerrilla style. Running through the streets, not getting any permits at all. I mean, but did you happen to get any big names that'll put butts in the seats on your project?
I was very fortunate to get a lot of big names that helped a lot. Their schedules would often conflict, or I wouldn't get the budget that I was promised, or the investors what they'd promised, so things fell through on a different end. But I am fortunate enough to say that they did enjoy the script enough to attach themselves to it.
Okay.
So,
well, that means if you wanted to remake this, if you wanted to redo it, if you are shopping it around, when you say shopping it around, in Miami, in Tampa, or are you actually sending it off to, I don't know, I don't even know where Hollywood is anymore. Nobody knows. Is it in Atlanta now? Because it seems like there's a lot of things being made there. Is it in Toronto? I don't know where Hollywood is. It seems like it's a feeling. Where are you shopping your material to?
So that was the best question I've ever been asked. Before the 90s, Hollywood was in California. Mm-hmm. And with the birth of the internet, Hollywood is now everywhere else. And because, like you said, if you have an iPhone, or if you have a phone that shoots 4K, and you have a mic that attaches to your phone, and you shoot guerrilla style, which again, guerrilla style, please know, what movie was that? Help me out here. What movie was that with Gene Hackman, and it was in New York, the French Connection?
Yeah, like every New York movie seems like it has at least a scene or two that's guerrilla style. Because those people on the street are watching you make a movie. That guy in the background wasn't part of the background. He wasn't hired.
So here's the thing for you and your audience. French Connection, Gene Hackman, ranked one of the best chase scenes ever filmed. They had not one permit to film that. They filmed that scene guerrilla style, and there's a car accident that happens in the French Connection that was a real person going to work on a Sunday morning, and they had a car accident, and they filmed it because I say that just because, don't think just because it's Hollywood, or don't think just because you have a lot of money, that what you learn as an independent filmmaker will not help you out in your career. You'd be surprised at the beautiful films that we have that people had to rely on their talent, not money, to continue filming, do it the best that they could, and go for it. Jaws was shut down by Universal. They continually tried to get in touch with Steven Spielberg to tell him, stop filming, come back. It stopped. He purposely avoided their calls, continued filming until the point where when it was done, he's like, well, I only have a couple of days left now. And look what happened. Changed filmmaking forever.
Made me not want to go in the water, that's for sure.
Yeah, I only say that because if you are born to be a filmmaker, don't be a baker. Okay, be a filmmaker.
Okay.
If you're born to be a filmmaker, don't be a banker. Be a filmmaker, and you have to just go for it because you're going to have trials. You're going to have walls and frustration, and you're going to have all these things that will not help add to the ease of doing what you're doing. But if you are born to do it, you'll find a way to rely on your talent, not money, and you'll pick up your phone and you go out there in your film, and you may change the world.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard a lot of parents would want you to have a fallback, but you've already told me. You've already said it in the conversation that we've just had. You have no fallback. You wanted to be a filmmaker. You wanted to be in the entertainment business. This is all you want to do. And I've talked to a lot of musicians, authors, people of all walks of life that they had a calling to do this and nothing else. You have to do this. You tried comedy, you want to keep doing comedy. That's all you know what to do. You know, so I admire you that you went into filmmaking. Yeah, maybe you take a part-time job here and there. If if you have to make ends meet and you got a family that you have to feed, you do what you have to do. But for the most part, you want to be a filmmaker. I know I've spent a lot of time on you and your project. As we wind this thing down, as we finish this thing off, tell me about you branching off and helping out people in different areas and other projects. What can you go into?
Well, thank you for saying what you said. I do appreciate that. It is a long, hard, winding road, and there are a lot of nights when you are too tired to remember how to even drive home. So hearing you say that does help quite a bit. So thank you. But I think that for me, when I moved down to Florida, and I said I was going to semi-retire, the bigger thing for me.
When was that? How long did you spend?
3.5 years ago.
Okay, how long did you spend in California trying to make it out there?
Well, trying to make it really depends on how you look at it.
Right.
I really think if you do what you want to do for a living, whether people know your name or not, then you've made it.
Yes.
So I was out there working in the industry for about 14 years, went back to Chicago, worked for another 10 years, maybe something like that in the industry, and then moved down to Florida again to somewhat retire. COVID hit, and then they needed animation producers. So then I started producing animation, and I've been busier now than I've ever been since I was in Chicago or California.
How do you know about animation? Do you draw, or is it when you produce anything, do you have to know what that project is? What is it?
The process of producing is very similar. You have to learn different rules and milestones and forecasting, etc. But the process itself of organizing a team toward a vision and leading that team to get to that vision, to get to that goal and deliver a project is very similar, whether it's podcasting, whether it's commercials, whether it's film or TV. That process is the same. So I ended up going and working in animation and met some incredible people and started to say, you know what? My resume is not going to be on my tombstone. I've got to be able to give back to people because someone's going to be going to a movie with their mom, seeing these figures on the screen saying, I want to do that too. I had a really hard time making the transition because I was very naive in the sense that I was very, not stubborn, but thinking that, I knew it all. And I was going to change the industry and they'll thank me for it. Well, calm down, Omar. You're just like everybody else, kid. Just relax and learn the ropes first. And I had to be dropped on my head several times before I realized maybe I should just calm down and learn the ropes first. So I want to be able to help people avoid the same mistakes that I've made and really benefit from some of the triumphs that I've made. So I started this film festival, me and a group of friends of mine, the Various Artists Independent Film Festival. And I really started it, between you and I, after I moved back to Chicago, I was going to do one more film. I'm going to do one more film to get it out of my system, try to relax a little bit. I did a film, sent it to a film festival, and it was rejected. I said, okay. I've got some of the top people in the industry that are friends of mine. And why was it rejected? I gave them a call. The lady said, well, the production value just wasn't there. I said, really? You know, when did you see this, or when did you, how did you come to this conclusion? Oh, I don't know. It just wasn't there. Click, hangs up on me. Well, Chicago has a very small film community. I happen to know someone else who also submitted to the exact same festival. They were still filming their project, and their film was accepted, and it was already scheduled for their slot in the festival. I'm like, well, how can my film, which was finished and happened to have some of the best working crew and cast in Chicago, how can it not be accepted? But there's another film accepted, and they're not even done yet. They're still filming. I said, well, you know what? It's time to make a difference. It's time to change this business. Started my own film festival, catered toward the artists, catered toward the content creators and the filmmakers. I wanted to give people a chance. Very first thing I did, most film festivals say, if your film's over 2 years old, it's no longer eligible for competition. I say, if a film is good, a film is good. If you ask anybody what their favorite movie is, the chances are it's not going to be within 2 years of whatever you ask them. Therefore, good films don't have an expiration date. First thing I did, I removed the 2-year stipulation. As long as your film is done, it's eligible. I released 10 different categories. I said, as long as it's a short film, submit it. And I'm going to teach you what I know, meaning the business side. The very first thing we do, I have what's called a view and vote. People in the industry know a view and vote happens every year with Academy members and Emmy members. They're sent screeners. And you watch a screener, and you vote, you view it, and vote if you want that to be nominated. I open up that exact same industry standard process and concept to the world. I have a teaser trailer of all the films that are submitted. You have a chance to go online, watch 2 minutes of it, view and vote. The one with the most positive votes gets the first nominee spot. So I have 4 nominees with the fall, winter, spring, and summer. So it's an entire year you have to finish your film. You get the awareness and the social media following because I've now helped you promote your brand. If people didn't know who you were, maybe they saw 2 minutes of your film, and now they're a fan. Now they're going to follow you. So take that concept, and then now I have 4 films that have made it throughout the year, and then I go back and I go to some of my friends and people that I know or work with that are real industry professionals. They're real actors that you've seen their movies. They're real people that you've seen their name on the screen. And I ask my friends, watch just these 4 films. Because if you go to a festival and they say they've watched hundreds of movies, I don't know about that. But they might say they watched 4 short films, and I have video proof of my judges. I love them all dearly. They watch 4 films, and then they record themselves. They film themselves saying, hey, my name is so-and-so. I watched these films, and here's the winner. So now you, as a filmmaker, having a film you finished over 2 years ago, sitting on a shelf collecting dust, you spent hard-earned money to finish. You now gave it a chance. You submitted it. You now have a following. You now have maybe one of your favorite people in the world. They now know your name. They watch your film. And now all of a sudden, you're a winner of a festival. You don't get a certificate. You get a Crystal Award. And something new that we offer, I give 1 short film production grant to 1 film submitter with a 1-year mentorship to help them learn the process of filmmaking, learn how to break down the script, learn how to write a script, break down the script, hire a crew, and then they get a chance to premiere that project at the following year's festival for opening night. That's the best way that I could think of to give back to filmmakers and content creators without trying to take advantage of them, without just taking their money and never watching their film. I want to say, here, let me give you a chance more than one, to actually make it and see if you should be a baker or if you should be a filmmaker. Let's find out.
Omar McClinton, bravo, bravo. I hear so much, so many times that people will make these films and the studios will shelf them, and they'll never see the light of day. I did hear a story of Kevin Smith making a movie for the late great Prince up at Paisley Park, and he said thanks, and he put it in the vault, and you'll never see it. Nobody will ever see it. I mean, maybe 20 years from now, when his estate gets sold or whatever, we'll get to see that film. But I've heard of so many films that get made and they get shelved forever. And you're giving them a chance that even if they're more than 2 years old, even if they have passed their shelf life, as it were, they still can see the light of day. Where is your festival? Where can people find out more about the festival? Let's get out of this thing. Let's close this thing out and have people follow you around on social media. That's fantastic.
The best way of reaching out is Various Artists Independent Film Festival, VAIFF.com is our website. We're on Film Freeway. I try to keep all of the submission fees as low as possible. And I have submissions that go on from the fall to the summer. And we have a online hybrid and live in-person screenings every October in Chicago.
Well done, man. Oh my goodness. And you have a good website. I'm just now looking at it. You got the info, awards, rules. It's nice to be recognized. Once you make a thing, for somebody to tell you that thing was good, that's got to be a good feeling, man. If you make a song, you make a music, you tell a joke, somebody told you, hey, that was pretty good. You're like, all right, you get a little pat on the head, and you get a good feeling, man. All in all, we're here to help each other out and make each other feel a certain kind of way, and this is what you're doing, man. You're giving people the opportunity that may or may not have had that opportunity ever. These are films that have been rejected, so you're giving them a chance. Now is the festival going to be in Tampa, or where is this? Where are they watching these movies, or is it all online? Are you making use of technology?
I am making use of technology. Live in-person screenings are in Chicago, but it's an online hybrid festival. You will be able to watch this festival from anywhere in the world. We have, online virtual tickets, and you can watch the films, take part in all the Q&A and all the workshops, and actually, one of our production grant winners is actually filming her music video with an artist here from Orlando.
Wow, that is great. Can you say the name or no?
Not yet. I can't say it yet.
It's always so secretive. I've talked to several filmmakers over in the past and actors. Hey, what are you working on? I'm working on this project. What's it about? I really can't say. Who's it with? I'm not allowed to. Why'd you even tell me? now I'm going to be up all night.
Okay, well, how about this? I promise you, if I can get people to follow us on social media, whether it's Instagram at official_VAIFF or Facebook at VAIFF, follow us. You'll see every note, every post, every comment. You'll be the first to know when we open up submissions. When you want a chance to view and vote, you don't have to have a film in the festival to view and vote. You have to be a film fan. Go to the website, vote, and help the next generation of filmmakers advance. And you can play a part yourself. And like I did, watching film, invite it into your life, and then end up helping out the next generation. I did it. You can do it too.
Well, Omar McClinton, I'm going to put all the links to your various social medias and the VAIFF website and all this various social medias in the show notes. So I encourage all my loyal listeners to listen and to follow, stalk you, and see how they can get involved with your projects. See if they, maybe you'll have the next star, the next filmmaker, the next DP, somebody that may be interested in being a part of a future Omar McClinton project. What are you calling him? I know Spike Lee had Spike Lee Joint. What's the Omar McClinton project?
The Omar, it's a various artist project. Not one film can make with one person. I need a bunch of artists, a community of artists that can band together. Yes, the winner was from Chicago. I mean, from the festivals in Chicago. But I've got a Tampa crew, Orlando crew working on this, and we have people from all over the world. People have stopped filming to film their announcement videos from all over the world. I need a various artist crew, a cast and crew who want to do this for a living, that they're hungry for it. And that's what I would call it, a community of artists.
Well, that's how we finish these things off most of the time. I know we cannot go through this life on our own. Yeah, we could try to do some things on our own. We can say, oh, I could do it all by myself. No, you can't. You need people. You need other people. So I want you to give shout outs to some of the people that have helped you along the way, and then give some last words for the people, and we'll get up out of here. I don't want this to be the last time that we talk. As time progresses, as future projects start to open up, hey, come on back and talk to me more about this. Omar McClinton, man. But give the shout outs to some of the people that have helped you along the way.
It would be a horrible thing to give all these shout outs and then I miss somebody.
They have to forgive you.
That's how it always happens.
They have to forgive you.
Look, the most important person to thank right now is Katrina from Cause Marketing, because she's the one who actually introduced me to you, to have this platform to make sure I tell people there's an opportunity to have their film shown. There's an opportunity. Life got in the way, but now here's an opportunity to knock on that door. The opportunity is open for you again. I thank her. I thank your listeners. I thank you, because you do this all the time. I'm a guest one day out of a year. You do this all the time to make sure that you want to help people. And I thank you for doing that. And I want to give a shout out to you, because without people like you doing it for very little to no money, your time and energy, your talent doing this, you share this with us, and we need more people like you. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. All right. I always finish these things off with last words for the people. It could be words to live by, something you heard a long time ago, maybe a mantra that you wake up with every morning, or just whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Omar McClinton of the VAIFF, give the last words for the people.
Last words for the people. Your resume will not be on your tombstone. You have to make sure you do the best with your life, that you take every opportunity you can give it. And it should start right now.
Well, there you have it, party people. What a nice guy. The man's got knowledge. Oh, he said 10 years. He said 10 years in, 14 years in LA, 10 years in Chicago, 3.5 years he's been back in Florida, still doing this, still doing it, still making movies. So that's quite a few years in his pocket, 30 years plus in his pocket, making movies, being involved in the entertainment business, making sure that you have something for your eyeballs to see, for your ears to listen to, entertaining you. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You're watching these movies, you get inspired. Omar McClinton, I know we grew up watching the similar kinds of movies. I remember going on Saturdays and just spending whole Saturdays just, would you say wasting time? No, spending time with your friends. And then at school the next week, just talking about what you just saw on screen, and how maybe you were a little too young to be watching these movies, but you watched them anyway. Okay? Who am I to say, was I too young? I'm a okay person. I don't think I was warped too much. My fragile little mind was warped by these movies, but hey, that's one thing that a movie can do. It can warp your fragile little mind. But it can make you laugh, and make you cry, make you feel all the feels. It make you feel all the feels. Making movies, watching movies. Omar McClinton. Yeah, I mean, you took us on your your journey, your path, and people might follow this a similar path, a similar journey. And from what I understand, from what you said, it looks like we got the Omar McClinton Film School pretty much by being involved with this festival, the VAIFF Festival, VAIFF.com. Check it out. Man, you got to put your hand in a lot of pots in the entertainment business. Let me tell you, if you want to make it, you better work. You better want to work in whatever capacity you have to. Oh, okay. You need me to? Well, I don't know how. Yeah, I guess in films you have to be a member of certain guilds. So if you're an actor, can you do set design? Maybe. Maybe that'll be in the second installment with Omar McClinton. I'll find out more. How many jobs can you do when you're in one job? In one production, is the actor allowed to go out and get sandwiches for everybody? Or are you going to get in trouble with some kind of union? Inquiring minds. Well, maybe I'll find out on the next installment of What Makes You Famous. Thank you so much, Omar McClinton, for being a part of the show. Now, if you, my loyal listener, if you would like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email keysdan@aol.com. That's it for me and this edition of What Makes You Famous. It's Keys Dan, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.